Hi everyone, this is Michael Brook from Rapid Couples Counseling, and this video is entitled Mammalian Instincts That Play a Part in Human Relationships. Now, a lot of people don't really want to think about the fact that they are actually mammals, though we like to think human beings are a little bit different from other animals in the animal kingdom. But there's a number of characteristics of mammalian behavior that show up in human relationships that I think is worthwhile understanding. The first one is the path of least resistance. Every mammal, when moving through the bush, will take the path of least resistance. If it's a goat, the goat will walk along previous game trails. Not only a goat, but just pretty much all animal. If there's a previous game trail where previous animals have moved before, where the brush has been pushed aside, they'll take that path of least resistance. The reason why they do that is because of the conservation of energy. All mammals are in a constant survival circumstance. All mammals, by taking the path of least resistance, tend to conserve energy. And if you don't know where your next meal is coming from, as is the case for most mammals, then the conservation of energy works really, really well. Now, how does that show up in human relationships? Well, most people will take the path of least resistance. If you say to someone in a relationship, I'd like for you to change, when they're used to doing what they've been doing for the last 2, 3, 5 months, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, if they're used to doing those things for the past indeterminate time period, then if you ask them to change, that is not the path of least resistance. And people have to violate the path of least resistance in order for them to get change in the relationship. And for the most part, human beings like things being the way they always have been. For the most part, human beings like taking the path of least resistance. So if you're looking for change in your relationship, it's important to understand that you're asking your partner to violate the path of least resistance, which is a deeply held mammalian instinct. And it's going to be difficult, and there's going to be some resistance to that. Whether or not they're able to, and whether or not they choose to, is whether or not they can actually move the relationship forward. And as you recall, in many of my previous videos, I talk about the single greatest determinant of whether couples can successfully navigate a relationship crisis is whether both people are prepared to confront themselves. So it's necessary for both people to confront themselves. And that violates the path of least resistance, but that's what gives couples the capacity to move their relationship forward. So that's the first one, the path of least resistance. Next one is the path of fairness. Mammals, when grouped together, will attempt to allocate the resources around them fairly, as a general rule. And if one animal is treated unfairly, or one mammal is treated unfairly, it will lose its shit. So it's necessary for you to organize your relationship according to the principles of fairness. Behavioral scientists have done fairness experiments on dogs, cats, birds, monkeys, and rodents. All of those mammals, when treated unfairly, will lose their shit about it. It's necessary for people in a relationship to organize their relationship fairly. So how does fairness show up in a relationship? It will show up in chores. Who does the chores around the house? Cooking, cleaning, washing. It will show up in money, how it's made and how it's spent. If one person feels like they're not getting an appropriate allocation of money, or if their partner's spending money on useless, frivolous things, they might be considered to be unfair. It often shows up in the amount of time apart. So if one person never gets any time for their own hobbies, well, then there's a problem. It also shows up in parenting. If one person's doing all the parenting, well, people will say that's unfair. And the final thing will show up is in sex. If one person feels like some aspects of their sexual relationship are unfair, well, then they will typically be upset. And so all of these things can violate the principles of fairness. But fairness is a mammalian value. People will leave relationships that are unfair. And the final one is touch. If you have a look at groups of mammals, whether it's groups of dogs or groups of cats or groups of birds, touch is a central part of mammalian behavior. They touch each other to let them know they're part of the group. They touch each other to care for each other. They groom each other. So they touch each other to remove parasites and ticks and bugs and parasites. They will touch each other all the time. And so as mammals, we are touch-based animals. And if over a period of time you stop touching your partner, people tend to get really pissed off. Now, there's reasons for that, but if that's going on, well, you need to consider why it is you're not touching each other, and you need to get back to making touch a regular part of your daily routine. And I'm not talking about touch for sexual arousal, I'm talking about touch for intimacy, touch for closeness. They are different things. These are just 3 principles of mammalian behavior that show up in relationships. And if you understand that a lot of the challenges people have are deeply rooted as mammals, well, it's really useful to make sure you behave in such a way that doesn't violate those mammalian instincts and those principles of mammalian behavior. So I hope this has helped. Thanks so much for your time for watching the video. I look forward to making more quality content for you shortly. If you're having a challenge with your relationship, please give me a call on 0432 681 321. There's a booking link in the description if you want to book in for a session with me. And please like and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to making more quality content for you shortly. Thanks very much. Bye.